Inconceivable. 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 Inconceivable.
Welcome to Inconceivable. I'm William.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Wesley.
And we are your guardians to the galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Going where no man has ever gone before.
There it is.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're gonna make a lot of people mad saying stuff like that.
Who wants to start?
I think Wesley should start.
I think I should
That's
start.
right. Wait, didn't you start last time, though?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So you get to start for the first time.
I get to start.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Pull the fast one on, yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna flip Gary the time thingy.
The time goblin.
Time goblin. All right.
Gary the Time Goblin.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Star Wars Battlefront II that is coming out next month. I think it's the 17th of November. So basically, it's made by the same people who did the first Battlefront video game that came out a couple years ago. Dice, yep. And they're actually going to expand it and have a storyline, and it's just going to be... It looks like it's going to be a lot better than the one that came out a couple years ago, because a lot of people weren't very happy with that one, just because it looked really good, and it sounded really good, but again, no storyline. It didn't really have a lot of options. There weren't a lot of maps. There was like 4 maps or something. And I just wanted to talk about that and talk about the differences between that and the old games too.
We all played Battlefront as a kid, right?
I played the second one. I didn't really play the
Yes,
first one.
I owned them both for the original Xbox.
I never played the first one a lot, but the second one, I have countless hours. Like, that's on,
Yeah.
probably top 5 of my, all-time played games.
I switched between the two of them because there were actually a lot of really good features in the first game that didn't get to the second game.
What was
Like in the first game, you could go completely prone, which was fun to do, and
What does
you
that mean?
can't do that. Like completely laid down flat on the ground.
Okay, yeah.
And you can't do that in Battlefront 2. Also, there was a lot more maps, and I actually liked some of the ones in Battlefront 1 better than what they replaced them with in the second one. The second one is just an all-around better game.
Did
it's
they
more
have
polished.
space battles in the first one?
I think they did. We're watching stuff earlier
Space battles.
about it, and I think they didn't have space battles.
No.
I think they had ships.
They didn't, but yeah, they did have ships. They actually had, in some maps, they had more vehicles on the map than they would in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, like I didn't play the first game as much. I played it maybe once or twice. I was mostly a Battlefront 2 person. Like I spent so much time on that. I basically did assault most of the time, or campaign. But I was like when I was looking up stuff for this one, I was surprised because they had a lot of maps in the original Battlefront that they didn't have in Battlefront 2. And I thought that Battlefront 2 was just like an upgrade from the original. So I thought that they had all the maps and then more.
Like, gameplay wise, it was an
Yeah.
upgrade.
Yeah. But they had like Cloud City, they had planets that you never even heard of in the movies and stuff. And I was actually kind of disappointed because I really wanted to play on Cloud City because that looked like it was really cool, but it wasn't in Battlefront 2.
Another thing is I prefer the way the heroes work in Battlefront 2.
Did they have heroes in Battlefront?
They did. In Battlefront 1, they had heroes. You did not play as them, though. And I think they may have only shown up in Galactic Conquest, one of the single-player modes. I think you could buy a power-up that would allow you to start the battle with a hero. Nobody played as the hero, though. It was like an AI-controlled, and they were invincible. The hero was, like, nearly invincible.
That sounds kind of boring if you don't
But
actually play the
it was
hero.
like, I know, but it was like I said, I prefer actually being able to use one in the second game. But one of my memories from the first game is you'd turn the corner as just a regular guy, and all of a sudden you'd see the hero, and you'd be like, oh crap, like, I gotta run away because you can't kill, like, the only time I ever killed one is I just threw grenades endlessly at one until it fell off a ledge and died.
Seriously?
And didn't come back, yeah.
You didn't even kill it health-wise, you just pushed it out of bounds.
I'm not sure if they're actually invincible, or if they just have a lot of health, but that's the only time I ever beat
So
one.
you
And
remember,
it was,
like, you couldn't kill them at all when you were younger?
No, that's what it seemed to be for me, and it was just that fear of, like, you see when you turn around and run in the other direction.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I really liked Battlefront 2 because even if you were a regular person with a gun and stuff, you could still take out the heroes if you knew.
I would run circles around Darth Maul.
Yeah, if you knew how they worked and their the options for how they fight and stuff, you could take him out. Like Darth Maul, he would always like to throw his double blade lightsaber at you, and you would just duck, shoot, duck again when it comes back and shoot him. I did that to one of our friends, and I felt very proud of myself.
Yeah, and like if you played the Clone Wars era in the Jedi Temple, I remember like killing Darth Maul was like clockwork. Like you just run circles around him and like leap, like you do the roll, just roll around him. And if you had the 3-shot burst, because like eventually
the elite rifle.
Yeah, if you got enough kills as like your basic trooper, it would upgrade your gun permanently, like to a 3-round burst. It was so cool.
They had similar mechanic in Battlefront 2 where you got
that is Battlefront 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it...
But you got it permanently, though, if you got enough kills.
No, but you would like also unlock extra like troops and guns depending on how you did in the game. So like you wouldn't get like...
well, that was overall in the game, not like for a single game.
So you wouldn't have the jet trooper like when you started the game.
No.
But you could unlock them. That's what I thought... Yeah, never mind.
No.
Did they have Evade in the EA Battlefront, the DICE one?
No, I don't think they have any.
I have probably played a total of like 2 hours of that game.
I played it a little bit. Well, a little bit. I say like I played a little bit when it came to like.
We even own it, don't we?
Yeah, we do own it. I would play ground battles, and I would suck
we
because
probably
it'd be
should have
live.
played that before we did this episode.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't know. I remember it well enough, and I mostly played Space Battles just because it felt so cool.
The Space Battles were so good. The only thing I really missed from this
wasn't Space Battles.
No, yeah, it's battles slightly above ground.
I don't like that they've made first person the preferred mode for this
Well,
one.
I mean,
for the new
ones?
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it doesn't make me feel like I'm playing Battlefront.
Well, you can switch back, right?
You can switch to
I know
third
you can
person.
go to third person, but like we were watching that video downstairs, and the guy was like, "I find first person to still be preferred," and I was like,
yeah,
like it just every game out there is first person. Like, why can't we have this?
Yeah, when I tried doing
it good.
When I tried doing first person in Battlefront 2, like the original one, it just felt really wonky, and it just felt really weird because I don't think were you even like looking down your rifle barrel when you were going first person
In what?
in Battlefront 2, because it felt like I was just looking at a screen and then moving left and right.
I know as a regular trooper in Battlefront 2, when you zoomed in, it just made the camera go closer. You could still see your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one. But this new one, it's gonna have a campaign story, which is awesome. In Battlefront 2, the original one, it followed the 501st through like the Clone Wars and then eventually into the Empire era. And this one, it's gonna center around a new character called Iden Versio, and she's basically like an elite special forces Empire agent, and it's gonna be like after the Death Star is blown up and everything, and all the Empire is like in scatters. They don't know what to do, so they're trying to figure out what to do next. And there's basically a last command from the Emperor telling them, okay, you guys got to crush the rebellion, which this is what the trailer said. And I was just kind of confused. I was like, okay, so his last command is crush the rebellion.
You missed it. While Darth Vader was throwing him into the pit, he made a last-ditch phone call.
He was like, hey, over here. Yeah, well, no, okay, so his last command is crush the rebellion. Did I say crush the Empire before?
You probably like said that eventually.
I think you said crush the rebellion.
Make sure you crush
we'll
the
find out later
rebellion.
when we
It
listen.
says crush the rebellion. Wasn't that their point, like, all along? Is that really? Does he have to tell them that? I think they're gonna go for it.
Do it. New tip for you. Crush the rebellion.
But we've been trying to
make
do
sure that you had that in mind.
Just want to make sure we get that straight.
You guys got plans for the third Death Star, right?
Basically, it's like
rebellion. Why should we get rid of them?
It's like Death Planet.
What?
What is anything from the rebellion sounds like they want to take us out? You know,
It's not like they blew up 2 of our multi-billion credit destroyer
Billion
destroyer
credit
machines. Yeah, so I'm really happy that there's going to be a
It seems like they definitely listened to a lot of the criticism that we had for the new one.
Well, there was a lot of criticism.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, if we're looking at things they did right, I feel...
Graphics. They did graphics
oh my
right.
gosh. Graphics,
sound,
those were beautiful.
Music was
sound
okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was okay.
Sound effects, though.
Sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sound effects.
All that is superb.
Yeah.
I think the game technically is a very good game, but the gameplay is almost lacking. Like the actual game modes themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like they got better
They
as
didn't
like
have a lot of options for what to do. There's like assault, and then
I don't like that they abandoned the command post capturing. Like that's what Battlefront is.
I love that. That was great.
They can't do away with that.
It gave you basically a specific objective as opposed to just all out warfare.
The criticisms I've heard about the new Battlefront is that it's basically a Battlefield game with Star Wars skin. And
pretty much
nobody wants that. Like
we want Star Wars.
This is our fresh take on Battlefront. No, it's like you just made a really beautiful looking Star Wars game that's a Battlefield game.
Yeah.
Then again, Battlefront was originally based off of the Battlefield games, I think, right?
It was.
Yeah.
But like they've done the reverse on it and just kept the Star Wars
way,
licensing.
Way different back in the original ones.
That campaign you mentioned is going to be completely canonical.
Yeah, that's one of the great things is that it's going to be basically between episode 6 and episode 7, and it's going to, I feel like it's going to be like a much smoother road going from that episode to the next one, and we'll get a lot more content. I think they've already come out with a book.
We get to see Obi-Wan.
What do you mean get to see Obi-Wan? You
mean
I
hope he's a part of the story. Like that'd be cool.
Well, he's dead, so...
No.
Oh, that's right. This is from
episode 6 to episode 7.
I'm dumb. Yeah, this is from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens. All right. I mean, we get to see Luke.
No, there will be Luke. They're saying that they're going to tie it in with original characters, so that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, but like silent Luke, like silent treatment Luke. Like I want to see that.
Wait,
Luke.
what?
I don't want him to be silent, but I want to see like
old Luke.
Yeah, I want to see old Luke. Or like middle-aged Luke. Like
I think we'll probably see that in
teen Luke.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see that in the next movie that comes out. Except he might actually talk.
We won't see middle-aged Luke in the next movie that comes out.
He'd be old.
He'd be super old. Like
no, I thought you were talking about Silent Luke, the old Luke.
Yeah. We'll see more of him.
Yeah. Okay.
He better not die.
Yeah. We talked about that last episode.
It's true. Yeah. Also, they're going to have a lot more maps, which I'm very happy about because that was one of the best things about the original ones. Was I could go to whichever maps I wanted to go, and I would know exactly how they worked. But I had options, as opposed with the Battlefront that came out a couple of years ago, and there was like 4 options. There was Hoth, there was Tatooine, there was Endor, and then
the ice planet, the forest planet, and the sand planet.
And what was that other one? Oh gosh.
Well, if you can't name it, obviously wasn't that important.
It was a lava planet. I know what it was.
Mustafar.
It wasn't Mustafar.
Yeah, no, it's not technically Mustafar.
It's a different one.
Do you feel
just like how the episode 7 movie is like, well, this isn't Mustafar because they never like.
This isn't Tatooine.
This isn't Tatooine. This is Jakku.
But it functions the same way.
It's
the birthplace of our new hero.
Without going too off topic, that like one little thing where like they were naming all the places that they were at, except for that lava planet, which they just like, suddenly lava planet we're going to show you. I'm like, that's Mustafar, right?
No, you're talking about Rogue One.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I am talking about Rogue One. No, you're right.
That made me really mad. I'm just like, name the planet. Come on, I want to hear you say Mustafar because they said
like
all
the
other ones.
To like tie in to keep tying in with the original trilogy. I feel like they're afraid to keep tying in with the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mustafar, I like that map back in Battlefront
that
2.
was great, except for when you fell into the lava. But other than that, it was great.
I'm pretty sure there was a version of Mustafar in Battlefront 1.
Was there?
Yeah.
Because they had Kashyyyk in Battlefront 1, which is weird because Star Wars Episode 3 hadn't come out yet. So I was like, okay, how do they know about Kashyyyk?
Well, another thing... things like that were all, I feel like... I don't know how to word this, but I feel like they worked together better when making games that were tied to movies. Obviously, that movie wasn't released yet, but it may have been finished or in development, so they could have taken the ideas from the unfinished movie and then used it in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because sometimes people who would be making the movies, they would give some content to outside sources so that they were able to make stuff like video games or actually Weird Al did that for Star Wars Episode 1. He got to make he heard about the Star Wars Episode 1, the entire story, or not the entire story, but he heard about most of it, so basically how it worked, and then he made the Saga Begins song, which was pretty
so
great.
that came out before Episode 1.
I think it came out before, or it might have come out during Episode 1. Yeah. So they're going to have, going back to Battlefront 2, they're going to have new maps, they're going to have a lot more heroes, which is great because, again, they only had 8 last time.
Also, hopefully more balanced, because there would be some maps where it's cool that you have options of what hero you get, but if you don't have a single hero or villain that has a lightsaber and the other side does, that really sucks. Because there's, I think it's Endor. I could be wrong. I don't think it's Endor because I'm pretty sure Luke is on that one. There's a map where my little brother would love to be like, "Oh, I'm the dark side," because if you're on the light side, then you've got only shooters. Yeah, and he's just like, I can't defend against a lightsaber hero.
I think that was
Palpatine, this twirly thing.
Gosh.
Wait, what?
His
Force lightning.
No, his rush forward. It's
that was weird. He just scuttles forward.
Yeah. No, they need some serious balancing with the heroes.
I think that was in Battlefront 2, because on Tantive 4, I think it was Princess Leia and then Emperor Palpatine or something, or Darth Vader. I don't remember.
Darth Vader and Princess Leia. Yeah. If you played as the rebels on the Tantive 4, you were screwed. And Princess Leia was my least favorite, one of my least favorite heroes.
Too much. Okay.
She could heal people.
What was she?
She had a handgun.
Yeah.
And it zoomed in, and it was a pretty good one. It was basically you could get that same upgrade for the handgun if you killed enough people with it.
Yeah,
and she could heal people, I think.
But she looked different from everyone else, so she was special.
Yeah, she had her buns.
Her hair buns.
Her ear buns.
Yes.
So I want to see
those buns.
So one thing that I just thought of when we were talking about Mustafar is how they had a lot better close quarters maps. They didn't do
it was very small.
Of that.
In Battlefront 2?
In the new Battlefront,
older ones,
they don't have any. It's all super open. There's not.
It was
much
really hard to understand where you were.
Look at this beautiful landscape.
And it was the best thing for snipers, but for guys who are really good at close quarters.
The map that they've been teasing a lot, or I should say demoing a lot, is Naboo, which first off looks beautiful, of course, but also it looks. The first thing that comes to mind, it looks very versatile. You've got vehicles, but you've got tons of buildings. So all these, it reminds me a lot of Tatooine.
Mos Eisley?
On Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
On that one, on Battlefront 2. And that was a really great map because of its diversity with all the buildings and then also smaller open areas too.
And what's great is that the Naboo in this one is going to be during the daytime as opposed to in Star Wars Battlefront 2 where it was nighttime and it sucked because I couldn't really see anything. I was like, I want to see how beautiful this place is.
It'd be cool if they made it so you could play it at night or during the day.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Or just
It'd be nice if it
why not,
progressed
guys?
into nighttime or something.
Yeah, why not, guys? Let's do that.
Come on, DICE.
Have a
Show us
continual sunset. How about that?
Yeah. They're also going to have... What's different from this to the previous Battlefront that just came out a couple years ago, they're actually going to have the prequels in it, like the Clone Wars and everything. And then they're also going to have the Force Awakens and all the stuff in that. So we're going to
Ren!
Yeah, we're going to be able to play Kylo Ren, Rey. Finn is going to be in a new wave of content after the initial release. Also Captain Phasma. So that will be great. We'll actually be able to see her fight and do something.
Captain Phasma.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be
Well,
cool.
I heard even before Force Awakens came out that she was going to have a limited role in that movie, but expanded upon in the next two.
Hopefully.
That's what I heard. So.
Well, she seemed like such a cool character,
Yeah.
and then they pretty much wasted her. So there's going to be new heroes, new places to fight, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully the gameplay is improved. Also with space battles, the thing I missed, which was one of the things I really loved about the Battlefront 2's space battles, is how you can invade the other's main ship and disable it from the inside. I thought that was like one of the coolest things, and they totally.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, they never.
My favorite part of Space Battles was the least space battle-y part of it.
I know, right?
I didn't want to do the dogfights when I was doing Battlefront 2.
Yeah, and then that video we were watching, like, just solidified it for me. It was like, yeah, dogfighting really had no impact on the score.
It didn't really do anything.
Yeah, it was like,
but I really like that in the newer Battlefront. Like because
that's true. They do a good job with the.
I think they did a better job on like you finding your target and being able to actually keep up with them, as opposed to the other one where it's like, it's over back there. Where's
turn around.
Where's the bad guy?
U-turn.
Yeah,
space U-turn.
And also another thing I noticed is that in the new Battlefront 2, you're actually going to be able to see when you're in space, because everything was black in the original one, so you couldn't see anything. But they're actually
that's true
because of all the details and stuff. They're actually going to have the sun out in space, so it's basically shining off of all the surfaces, so you'll be able to see all the ships and all the details and stuff. And I'm really excited about that.
That's going to be nice.
Yeah. And also, something that makes me really happy is that they're actually going to have free DLCs for this one. So that was something that really bothered me with the original.
Especially when we were begging for more content, and then like, oh, there's more content. It's just paid
it's really expensive.
Yeah. They basically had the bare minimum for Battlefront 2 years ago. Yeah. They had like, okay, here we have the original trilogy, and these really cool. It's basically Battlefield, but with Star Wars skins. And then they gave new content, and I would see that and be like, oh, that's really cool. But then they basically had you pay for the game, and then they had you pay for something that was basically just as much as the game, but only a small amount of content. So you're able to play on Cloud City, able to play on Scarif, and I think they actually did have a space battle option, but that was only after you paid for the DLC, and that really bugged me.
Yeah. So overall, I think we can agree, like, gameplay and content is the two main things that we're looking for improving on. Because, like, they did, like, we are only so nitpicky because there's so many things that we liked from the original ones, and it's a very, like, near and dear franchise to a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it wasn't, like, a bad game, per se, but the expectations were just so high. And, like, they did a lot of things right, but just the hard thing, when a gameplay is one of the things that's not right...
Yeah. I was gonna say, because
you
can say what you want about it, but bottom line is it didn't make me want to keep playing it.
Yes.
So like it may have looked nice. It may have had a nice budget. The gameplay might have been clean, but it wasn't very interesting.
Yeah, I think they focused mostly on the look and the sounds and stuff, but other than that, it was kind of plain. And after a while, it wasn't really.
It had no meat to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't have any substance, really.
Yeah.
And this one, it looks like it's going to be pretty fun, and I'm really excited for the campaign.
I used to be such a huge gamer. New games that come out now just seem hollow to me. I haven't been able to invest myself in a video game like I used to as a teenager.
Yeah.
The gaming scene has changed, at least in my opinion, and I don't know, either the games are now overly complicated or they're just cash grabs.
I appreciate that they try to make the games look really good, but if there's no substance to it, then like...
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, like, when it comes down to it, it's like about enjoying yourself, and if you can't join the game...
Exactly.
Who the crap cares?
Yeah. Nobody wants to play a game for like a day and be like, well, that was fun. What next?
You spent $60 on a couple hours of entertainment.
Ugh.
Way to fool
I
want to
have multiple hours.
Which is more than $60 on something. I want like, I don't know, guys. I got 1,000 hours, 1,000 hours plus out of Skyrim.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's true. We were talking about like you want to for your money.
That game paid for itself in the amount of time I spent playing that instead of doing other things that cost money.
It also bugs me that you can't really do multiplayer like you used to be able to, because back in the day you're able to do
split screen.
4 people
where it's at.
Fighting, and then
bring back split screen.
Come on,
it's too expensive to play with people online all the time,
and it's not fun because you don't get to interact with them and scream at them.
We don't want to pay for another TV and like play in the same room but on 2 separate TVs.
I want to look into their eyes and see the fear when they notice that they're screwed.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what's a good bang for your buck?
What?
Cosplay Realm magazine.
I like them.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by Cosplay Realm magazine. They are a monthly internationally published cosplay magazine that launches on the 1st of every month. It was created for cosplayers by cosplayers. They are big on crediting everyone who helped bring a cosplay to life, from the creation process to the photography process, all the way to the finished, polished images. Inside, you will find 40 high-quality pages, including your exclusive interviews. No DLC there. With your favorite creators, artists, geeky fashion, makeup, and photography tutorials. You can check them out on any of their social media at Cosplay Realm Magazine for more info on how to submit and get your cosplay or photography published. Visit their website at cosplayrealmmagazine.com/submit.
Do they come out with a monthly
Yes,
magazine?
monthly. Yep.
Cool.
And October's is Halloween themed, of course.
And nothing.
Yeah.
We'll have to dress up for that.
November issue is Friends and Family. So that'll be pretty cool to see.
Well, we're friends and family.
Yeah, we're all family here, all the Geek Kind.
This is my white friend over here.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounded like way more ghetto than I was initially intending.
William's so ghetto.
Oh,
What a nerd.
yeah.
So who wants to go next?
I'll go next because I went last episode.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
Gary.
we're all really excited about here.
Just flip
All
it.
right.
hey,
Gary.
well,
He wants to do it.
I get to, if it's my topic, I
Go
get
ahead.
to.
For those of you listening in, we are trying to flip Gary, which is the sandile.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's nice. The time goblin.
Gary the Time
I guess we
Goblin.
can call him the time goblin and then explain that.
And then explain that. So, what I want to talk about is Spider-Man.
Again, for the people listening, he's wearing a Spider-Man shirt.
Yeah, he's very proud of it.
So, for those of you who could probably take a guess, Wesley is a big DC fan, and
I know a good bit about Marvel though.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't know about Marvel,
Yeah.
but as far as what spectrum you're more of a DC guy.
Yes.
That's
It's difficult
fine.
not to know even
Right.
a little bit about Marvel
I'm
nowadays.
more of a Marvel guy. I mean, like, also if we're looking at shirts here, you're outnumbered. I mean, you're not even wearing a DC shirt, but Alex has got a
I'm
Captain
repping
America
my
shirt.
boys.
Oh, I am Captain America. What are we
I'm
talking
wearing a
about?
Patriot shirt for those listening.
I like to think of myself as mid-transformation Captain America because I got the height. Now I'm just waiting for the muscle.
You've gone up. Now you just need to go
I'm just like-
sideways.
Okay.
You need to fill in horizontally.
I know.
Alex is just gonna get fat, and he's like, "This is not what
This is not what I meant, yeah.
Oh,
I was
no.
hoping for so much more. Just not more of that.
Tell us about Spider-Man, please.
So, Spider-Man is one of my favorite Marvel franchises. It's not my favorite. X-Men is my favorite. Specifically, specifically Wolverine is my favorite superhero. But Spider-Man is really cool to me because he's one of the most relatable superheroes out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I think Marvel, and I think you've already said you agree with this, Marvel takes it from the standpoint of almost like humans becoming superheroes, where
Yes.
like DC is almost like just like superheroes just starting from like outside of Earth. you know?
Yeah, so I would say that like DC makes superheroes that you look up to, and Marvel makes superheroes that
You relate to?
that you relate to. Yeah, like
Which you can still look up to. But
exactly. But like DC's heroes are more noble, and Marvel's heroes are
Right.
more down to earth. I would
Yeah.
say, and
Alright.
there's a good thing about both of those.
Exactly,
concepts.
and I like that
Yeah.
they have those different origins, you know. And Spider-Man is one of their shining examples of that methodology of making.
Methodology?
who is both noble and relatable.
Right, very relatable because he's just some kid growing up in New York City trying to get along in school, and he's getting bullied all the
In
time
life.
because he's a nerd.
Now, what you said, let's remember, Spider-Man is primarily a high school character.
Yes.
That's
I'm
where he
fully aware of it.
originated.
So my thing has always been Tobey Maguire is my favorite Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. There's
Yeah.
like it's distinct difference there. When I watched, I didn't know like I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit apprehensive by the fact that they already made a another Spider-Man movie because the first Spider-Man movie came out like 2001, I think.
I think
2000 and then, or
I think
Yeah, it's
Spider-Man 2 is
2001.
2002.
yeah.
Well, 2001 or 2002, and then you got the newest one, 2017. So you're looking at 15, 16 years between 3 new Spider-Mans. And, like, there's no other superhero that's gone through that fast of a pace. And we're not talking, like, single-off movies here. We're talking a total of 6 movies.
A trilogy, and then
almost
a trilogy,
yeah.
and then...
So that's a massive amount of movies for different lead actors for this kind of role.
You can blame all of that, though, on Sony's greedy need to hold on to the Spider-Man movie rights.
Right, because of the contract.
Exactly.
They have to make it once.
They have to keep making movies in order to retain the rights.
Every 10 years?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, but obviously that's the past, and this is what we're left with: is 3 Spider-Mans and 6 movies.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 Spider-Man movies, undoubtedly amazing. Pun intended. Third movie, questionable at best.
What I'd call it is entertaining, but not necessarily good.
It was
because I enjoy watching it.
Right,
going back and watching it.
The sequels were, in my opinion, not good, not as good as the originals. However,
when
they
you
definitely
say sequels, you mean
the Andrew Garfield ones.
Yes,
other
okay.
versions. They're not sequels.
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man series.
the sequel series.
The Sony, the actual Sony version.
So when I talk about, I'm gonna go with this. When I'm talking about the Spider-Man movies, I'm referring to the original. When I'm talking about the Amazing Spider-Man movies, that's the sequels. And then when I'm talking about Homecoming, I'm referring to the newest.
So the Amazing Spider-Man movies, not necessarily amazing.
Yeah, no, they were.
Amazing was okay.
They were both decent. I will say that also. I'm impressed by the fact that they were able to make the second Amazing Spider-Man movie probably just as good as the first one, because I was expecting after seeing a really decent entry back into the world of Spider-Man. I was expecting a much quicker decline in their almost trilogy. Well, I'm sure it was planning to be a trilogy.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people didn't really care for the Amazing ones.
No, they had planned out Sinister Six, and at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, you see all the different apparatuses for.
And of course, spoilers, Gwen dies at the end, so that's a huge character changing moment.
Yeah.
And see, that's what's different about the two things that you have Gwen in one and you have Mary Jane being the majority.
They did it on purpose.
I liked
make them
Gwen.
Different.
I liked Gwen a lot more than Mary Jane. I'm just gonna say it. Mary Jane was.
And here's the thing,
different.
Though,
they're different.
The Amazing
Spider-Man, I guess the person that they have to have.
Mary Jane is the popular girl. Gwen is the smart girl.
Yes, it is.
And I like that Amazing Spider-Man did things in chronological order. Peter Parker meets Gwen first. I don't even think Peter Parker meets Mary Jane until he's graduated high school. I don't think so. I don't think he meets her until college.
Well, they were gonna have Mary Jane,
or maybe his senior year or something.
They were gonna have Mary Jane in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yep,
but they cut her out.
She was gonna get played by that. She's gonna be played.
Shailene
get played.
Woodley.
She's gonna
I was excited to see that.
The girl from Secret Life of American Teenager.
Oh.
It's the second time I've talked about that show on this show. I've never even watched it.
I think I tried watching it.
Oh, but she's in Insurgents or whatever that series is called. Divergent.
So, I talked about how Tobey Maguire is my favorite Peter Parker and how Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man.
So
but now I'm going to
you.
No, let me explain to you why I see them in the way. So, Tobey Maguire, he is a nerd. He is a geek. He is whatever you want to call him. He is what we think of the Peter Parker persona being. Someone who honestly doesn't really fit in school and is just trying to do his best as a photographer. And as you see him going through his work routines, he's not necessarily the most accountable guy. He's just a struggling
teenager
going through school trying to make ends meet because
who's played by a 30-something-year-old
guy. I know,
guy.
right?
But seriously, he's really bad at having a steady job. Other than being a photographer, he kind of sucks at pizza delivery and everything else.
Right. Also, not necessarily.
Which is understandable.
Not just necessarily directly linked to Tobey Maguire, but this is also the series where it happened, is I feel like the motives were the best set up in the original Spider-Man movies with Uncle Ben dying and how they portrayed that, because they showed that he was kind of oh, I'm doing this for money so I can make a better living for myself and my family.
Right.
And then all of a sudden when this life starts, attacking his personal life and Uncle Ben dies, then his whole outlook on what he's doing and why he's doing it changes. And you journey through that with him, and I feel like that's a very important thing.
The Tobey Maguire movies have the advantage of being the first to present the movie on the big screen.
But they also presented it in a very good way.
There's no rehashing. It's the first time you've seen it.
That being said, that's what happened, and then you build up a really close like connection to him, and then also it makes him very relatable because you see they take their time with that. That's like 15, 20 minutes into the movie, so they definitely take their time building up. They're not just like 5 minutes in the movie. Okay, people die, it gets real. Spider-Man's here. How's it going?
That was a problem for the Amazing Spider-Man, though, is that they were basically telling the same story that came before that,
right?
Even though they were like they're selling it as watch the untold story. You mean like him getting powers and Uncle Ben dying again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the same effect as last time because you felt a real connection with Uncle Ben.
Honestly, if you had that same connection, the Amazing Spider-Man series probably would have been better just by proxy because everything would have felt more meaningful, and you probably
it was the first time. Yeah.
So if the tables were turned and that's how it happened, you probably like the Amazing Spider-Man movies more if the motive was better. Like the motive affects so much of like what you think of a movie.
I'm still not sure. I think that the original Uncle Ben, I really liked him a lot more. I felt like he connected with Peter a lot more than the one
We've been
from
saying
Spider-Man.
With great power comes great responsibility
that
ever
is the
since.
Saying.
And that movie originated that saying, by the way.
And
really?
When he talks to
that
Peter
wasn't from the
way,
comics?
No,
was,
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I'm gonna look.
When he talks to Peter,
fact check that.
When he's like trying to talk to Peter and understand what he's going through in the original movies, he wasn't like being harsh with him. He wasn't like, you need to be a better person. He was just like, listen, I'm here for you, and you need to understand that if you have a lot of abilities...
It is from the comics.
Cool.
Okay. But still, the world was not saying that, I don't think, until the movie came out.
Yeah, that's fair.
But as opposed to Martin Sheen's character, where you were just like, listen, Peter... your dad had a philosophy about doing good things if you were able to, and I'm like,
they were trying so hard to like quote it without quoting it. Like, dude, we would have been fine if you just quoted it. Who cares?
Not choice, responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, so I really feel like all the personal things that were happening to him, even the nuanced things like him like being crappy at his job and him having troubles with Mary Jane, those were actually well received in my opinion.
It was not just on him that he was having trouble with Mary Jane, though. She was a very difficult person in the entire series. I'm just gonna say
she's actually like that, though.
Another reason why this like all these things were really important is that it also made like the villains really shine because not only were they already fantastic villains, and by villains I'm referring to Green Goblin and Dr. Ock. Not only were they
Dr. Ock. Just say it, Dr. Octopus or Doc Ock.
Doc Ock. Thank you. Yeah.
He was the best of both
worlds.
Yeah, it's like why not
Dr. Ock? Man.
So, because both times, especially Green Goblin, they have really internal motives for the like they stem like usually you build up a villain by their own vendetta, which they still do with these characters, obviously. But both of these characters have ties that are really close to Peter Parker. Yeah. So. Also, it makes sense why they're involved together. It's not like, well, I'm the good guy and I'm the bad guy. So, like, this is where our paths cross because we have different outlooks of what we want to protect.
Here's an interesting thing, though, something I'd like to add to that. I think you're building up to the fact that we saw Spider-Man Homecoming together.
Wait, you went to see it with him?
We went and saw it, yeah.
Come on.
I had already seen it. He hadn't, so we went and saw it again. But... Michael Keaton as the Vulture, in terms of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's going on right now, this is what was said by him by the LA Times. One of the strongest, most sympathetic villains of the entire series. In the entire...
I think
and I know... And well, William doesn't agree with that.
I don't agree.
I'll let him get there, but I mean, I just... Like, you were already talking about villains,
let's go on to Spider-Man Homecoming. So we've talked about the other two series.
Right.
Let's talk about what you thought of that one.
So while we're talking about, like, we'll keep it towards, like, the Peter Parker side of the story.
Okay.
Because that's why I'm talking about Tobey Maguire so much. And when we see Homecoming, I think the setting is very good. However, one thing that I really, really didn't like about Homecoming specifically was how involved the Avengers and Tony Stark specifically were involved. I feel like they weren't cameos. Tony Stark was very influential, and a lot of his motives... a lot of Peter Parker's motives revolved around Tony Stark and wanted to be like him and be an Avenger. And
which
so
is true to the comic book version of Peter Parker. he is obsessed with the Avengers.
And if you think about it, like, Peter just got his powers like 6 months before the events of Civil War. Mm-hmm. So he's like been seeing these heroes go about doing everything that they do, and he's gonna look up to them. Obviously, they are the heroes.
Yeah, those are his heroes.
Yeah. So he's of course he's gonna look up to them and have them. They're gonna be very influential in his life as a superhero and even as like a regular person.
But I guess the point is that when everyone was really excited for Spider-Man to finally be involved in the rest of the Marvel Universe, and totally gung-ho about that, and that's great. And when they were trying to figure out how the heck do we inject Spider-Man into this, there's like several different ways they could have gone about this, and one of the ways is the ways that they did this movie, and I think that they did that route as far as kind of not starting with the origin story, starting like with his high school, like in the middle of high school, and then also with him already done some Spider-Man like stuff. Obviously, like this is after his appearance in the Avengers itself, so he's already like well embedded Spider-Man as an image for him. You know, you see him, he's playing around with this social media stuff and all that goofy stuff. So this is much later in the timeline than we're used to seeing Spider-Man, which is fine. But then also they've changed because they started in this. They didn't use his family or home life as any sort of motivations for his actions. He wanted to be superhero because he looked up to the guys at the Avengers. Which, I mean, it's fine, but that's not, like, when I see Spider-Man, I saw the, yes, I know it's unfair to say, but there are expectations going into this movie based on what we've had before. I way more prefer the motives that were set and so carefully planned out with the original Spider-Man trilogy and how effective that was. And I'm not saying they should have done exactly that. All I'm saying is that they chose a route to go with, and I think they did a good job with it. But just when it came down to it at the end, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted to be.
With that, though, they're committed to not retelling the whole Uncle Ben thing.
Yeah,
so that means they're going to leave out the whole family-related subplot.
Yeah.
So we are left to assume that Peter Parker wants to be that he wants to be Spider-Man because of what's happened to him.
I'm not even
as
that.
well as the heroes he looks up to.
Yeah, not even just that, but if you listen to him in Civil War, he says like, okay, when you have the abilities that I have, and bad stuff happens and you don't do anything, those things happen because of you. So that was a pretty like good motivation.
You can just hear Uncle Ben saying that to him.
Basically.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that it was a bad movie. I'm not saying that I say they were stupid for doing that, because I completely understand why they went with that. That was definitely one of the stronger things to do, and I feel like they did that very effectively. But when it just came down to it, I just wasn't compelled like I was with the first two series of Spider-Man. And then that's because then, honestly, it felt pretty basic to me.
Yeah,
when
I
it
get
came
that.
down to it. And I think that's what the whole thing goes down with. If it had a better motive, then maybe I would have liked it more. But honestly, I just didn't feel that invested. And then, I will say, because you probably bring this up if I didn't bring it up, how I said that how all the villains of Spider-Man are not just having their own vendetta, but connected to Spider-Man. They do technically have that with the Vulture.
But I think what they did with the Vulture is instead of connecting him to Spider-Man so much, which they still did, but instead of connecting him strongly to Spider-Man, they connected him strongly to the universe. He was affected greatly by Tony Stark's new, cleanup initiative, which is in the comics actually. So, just like with everything else about this version of Spider-Man, they're trying to connect it all to the universe. So they connected Vulture to the universe. His motives are driven by what's happening in the world at large.
Now, also one thing I do want to say is that I'm not arguing this movie's comic book accuracy.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
There's plenty of people who don't read comics like myself.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the movie character.
Yes,
yeah,
and that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm at the end of the day, I'm going for what I think is entertaining, what makes a good
familiar
movie.
With. Yeah,
right. And
because as far as comic book accuracy goes, this movie was fantastic. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He is Peter Parker. He's both of them.
I'm glad he was able to
pulled
get both of them.
He pulled both of them off perfectly.
Well, he's
Spot
really
on.
awkward and like kind of painful to watch as Peter Parker, but then
Really excited. Like,
yeah, he's like such a
this is the best day of my
he's
life.
such a kid when he's Spider-Man. He's just like, hey everyone, I'm
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Can I help anybody?
Well, see, here's
I burst onto the scene. I stole Captain America's shield, and I was like, "Hey guys."
Also, that was another thing.
Yeah.
I really liked the short clips of Captain America in this movie.
I did too.
It was very.
Your coach on my left.
And he's wearing the original, like, very dopey-looking Captain America uniform
From the first Avengers.
Original Avengers.
I actually really liked that costume.
I didn't really care for it. I was like, this.
I liked how it looked so much like the one in, like, from the, like, I think Ultimate, like, when the Avengers got big in the comic books and they introduced Captain America.
Yeah,
suit,
but compared
like,
to
the
all the like the very the gritty, like realistic looking suits that he's had, I didn't really care for it. I really like the other ones. But let's
going
talk
back to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's fun that you're attached to Captain America.
Just saying.
I should have worn, like, a Daredevil shirt or something.
Come
I
on.
didn't realize you guys had a theme going on.
We didn't plan
Where's
this.
Daredevil when Spider-Man?
You think there's
swinging
planning
around?
involved in this? But anyways, so I thought that because this wasn't at the very beginning and it was part of the way through, Spider-Man's been on more missions. I know he's still in high school, but I'd expect him to be a little bit more mature and intelligent at this point, because the way he was acting, especially when, like, say, because even when he unlocked the new features of the suit, he was still being, the way he was going about it felt really un-Spider-Man-like to me. He felt like an actual, just not very intelligent person.
Well,
in
he
general.
is a 15-year-old boy.
And he
And
is,
he's-
but
Because
the
and
thing
he's
is,
that's a point we can make. This is the youngest we've seen Spider-Man on screen.
The fact that he's even able to hack into his own suit, which was given to him by Tony
That's
Stark,
like,
is pretty impressive.
whoa.
Right.
And yet he's still a kid. Like, he
But
has
that
all this
only-
knowledge, but he's still a kid.
but that
younger.
only kind of like goes with what I'm saying here, is that it seems like it's unbalanced, whereas like they're trying to say like, oh, he's super intelligent and smart, but then he has so many moments where it's like,
Because he's a teenager.
He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
Those two-
He's a intelligent teenager. Those don't really go together
You know,
very
kids
well.
nowadays, like 7-year-olds
I get
playing
that,
with
but
iPhones and they
if you're
get
smart
everything,
and
but they're still a child.
if you're smart and intelligent, and I would assume mature after forcing to grow up after family troubles like that, by the time you are 15, you are going to be a few years older, mature-wise, but he didn't feel that way.
Maybe he suppresses his family troubles with the
usual teenage
And you know what?
ignorance.
That would be
silliness,
great if they were to tease that stuff, but they never did. In fact, Aunt May was
I think it's
an
pretty
irrelevant
easy.
character,
I think it's pretty
honestly.
easy to
I think
assume.
she is relevant.
Oh my gosh.
She's
Hey,
relevant to
everybody
Alexander's
in the
eyes.
Everyone in the movie and outside of the movie appreciated Aunt May for the most part, except for Will.
I was like,
Yeah.
why is she so young?
Will's opinion about the Homecoming
Because
is actually
Tony
very
Stark has to
unpopular.
flirt with her.
Yeah, I'm not alone on that one for sure. I really liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man performance specifically because one thing that was lacking with Tobey Maguire's is that he wasn't, I don't want to say he wasn't witty. He wasn't witty in the right ways.
He threw a couple of cheesy one-liners, but that
Right.
was it. He didn't really come off as like a sort of arrogant, cocky.
Right, because it's almost Deadpool-esque about how he acts when he's in the suit. And I feel
except
like
a lot more G-rated.
Yeah, and I feel like Andrew Garfield did a really good job with that. But I think also on the flip side, that affected some of his Peter Parker-esque.
Parker.
Yeah, just because he was too cool. He was too cool to be Peter Parker, like through and through. There was no, like, you put glasses on
he
it,
was.
and he looked weird with glasses on it because he didn't look like he was supposed to be
You're
wearing
not
glasses.
supposed to be a nerd.
I know, like, he couldn't pull off a nerd, and that's, you know what, that's okay. But he did the best he could, and I thought that he did an excellent job as Spider-Man, and I definitely, whereas the flip side, I enjoyed Spider-Man, the original series, when he was Peter Parker more, but when it came to the Amazing Spider-Man series, I enjoyed the moments when he was Spider-Man more than when he was in Peter Parker.
This is what I want to know from you, though. Are you excited about this Spider-Man going forward?
Because he's going to be in Avengers Infinity
Yeah.
War.
Because this is
Um,
this is gonna be our Spider-Man for a while.
I don't-
I think they finally worked out.
Excited is the wrong word. I am looking forward to it in the sense that, okay, we got this out of the way. Let's get to the part where we actually, because
We're gonna start moving forward.
this movie was like, it was just something that had to happen.
Catch you up,
Right,
Yeah.
because they can't just ignore the fact that he hasn't had some sort of like intro with a movie or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was.
That's a good point.
He was basically like inserted into Civil War, and
so
then he had to have this movie.
This movie was a necessity. Yeah. No one really wanted it, to be honest. Everyone was just excited to see Spider-Man again. It's like, oh yeah, Spider-Man movie. I guess that makes sense, and everyone went with it.
People wanted it once they realized it was happening.
Like, and also once they realized
that we were like...
Yeah, that's what I meant. No one asked for it.
was actually a great Spider-Man.
So we're just like, oh, Spider-Man movie's coming out. That's cool. We know when we're going to see Spider-Man again. That's exciting.
I think.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing Spider-Man in a different context than we had before. That to me is exciting.
I'm excited for the Spider-Man going forward because I know it's going to be the Spider-Man that we're stuck with for a while. Like I know that this is Tom Holland's our Spider-Man for the foreseeable future.
Did you hear about how he's not allowed to read the script for Infinity War because he will spoil like everything? They only let him have his own lines.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
But yeah, just to touch on one point, I was very happy that they actually had a compelling villain in this one because literally the only other villain that I found compelling in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Loki. Basically, all the other ones are pretty 2D. There's like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I'm going to kill you all.
Red Skull.
Red Skull was okay. He was okay.
That's one thing.
He was a Nazi, so he seemed like a pretty 2D bad guy.
Yeah.
But like this one, you actually understood his motives. Like I felt for him. I was like, okay, I definitely get what you're trying to do. And he basically got,
short end of the stick.
Yeah, he got the short end of the stick. And you basically see how he goes from a guy who's trying to make ends meet to just going down a really bad path.
Super impressed with the way they went about including the Vulture. Like, in the comics, the Vulture is like an old bald guy wearing a bird suit. Like, this was really cool. This was cool. This is a really good imagining of it.
He looked awesome.
He was cool. I guess
And the fact that he uses alien tech.
Yeah, and that he's called the Vulture because they scavenge. Like, that was cool. Like, they fit. That was so well put together.
The character of Vulture itself was totally fine. My problems with the character was I just wasn't attached to the motives. I felt very... I'm not saying that they weren't, like, good motives. I just felt very copy and paste and very...
Well, did you feel attached to the motives for Electro and the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Because their motives seemed like really lame, I guess.
Electro was a joke.
Yeah, the Lizard was like, all right, I want to make people into lizards and free them. What?
I don't even remember what he's trying to do.
And then Electro was like, I want to have the power of the city and kill Spider-Man because he hurt my feelings.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
Yeah,
this one,
I'm making the sound.
Those were very mediocre villains in their own right. I'd probably put Vulture, like now looking back on it, I'd probably put Vulture probably next to them. But the thing is that those are your standard villains. Like,
do you want to talk about Rhino? Let's talk about Rhino.
Yeah, no, hold on. Those were your standard villains across the board. However, when we're looking in the Spider-Man franchise specifically, and what we had with Green Goblin and Doc Ock, those are in my opinion, some of the best villains in comic book movies history.
Yeah,
I would rank the Vulture number 3 right under those two. I would do Doc Ock,
Spider-Man
Goblin,
movies?
and then the Vulture.
Right, but even out of Spider-Man movies, those two villains specifically, who compares to them honestly with that much engagement, like well thought out, like character development and just general coolness? Like the Green Goblin was freaking epic.
I can agree that Spider-Man 2 was a masterpiece.
I loved it.
Period. Like,
although then again, it did seem like Doc Ock made a complete 180 turn from being like a good scientist to he just went from being that to like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I'm going to start sitting at my evil lair and start smoking and have a ton of cash and throw old ladies off of buildings and stuff. I'm like, that got really dark really fast. But yeah. I like Spider-Man Homecoming. It was pretty squeaky clean compared to the other ones, because that was another thing about the original Spider-Man movies, was that those ones were gritty. It felt like Spider-Man was getting hurt, like really beat up.
Yeah, they were dark.
It's kind of funny how that went the other way around when you think about it, because movies are always doing the other way now. So this was definitely a lighter...
I think they really made it a point to be like, all right, Spider-Man is a lighthearted character who is primarily and more popularly a high school student, so let's make the story also lighthearted and fun. And
for the most part, Marvel movies tend to keep it pretty safe.
Pretty PG-13.
Yeah. They tease some stuff other than that.
Yeah. All right, that's Spider-Man.
Speaking of teasing stuff, I'm going to tease the next ad. And by tease, I mean read the next ad.
So you're just going to read it? Why would you do it?
Tease it? Do it. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Nerd Caliber. Nerd Caliber, since 2010, has bringing you all sorts of coverage of all things nerdy, both on its website, nerdcaliber.com, and its YouTube channel. They have everything from movie, TV, and game reviews to how-to articles and videos to opinion and thought pieces on the topics of the day. You're trying to do funny stuff while I'm reading.
We're being hilarious
I
to the
see
camera.
you.
Finish that ad read.
But Nerd Caliber is also best known for its convention coverage, in particular, cosplay at conventions. The website features new photo galleries from the recent cons nearly every day, and the YouTube channel has new video interviews, funny skits, and cosplay showcase compilations multiple times a week. In addition, Nerd Caliber has added new regular features like its weekly Nerd News Video Roundtable live on Facebook at 8 p.m. each Wednesday evening. New to the website is the gaming news roundup called Patch Notes, and on YouTube, the Cosplay Creator Interviews series Behind the Scenes, moderated by award-winning master cosplayer Lucky Grimm. Check out Nerd Caliber on the web, on YouTube, or on Facebook for tons of nerdy fun. Thank you, Nerd Caliber, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast.
Nerd Caliber, we love you.
Are they at New York Comic Con this weekend?
They are.
I'm so jealous.
I know.
Everything is happening there, including a final Justice League trailer.
That comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Excited.
But we're not going to talk about that.
I can't wait to talk about.
We're not going to talk about that.
Or not.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about a scary movie, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to flip.
Gary.
Gary, the Time Goblin.
One last
time for tonight. I just want to talk about how much I absolutely loved the new It movie.
Okay.
It was phenomenal.
You're gonna have to keep the new movie spoiler free because
Yes.
I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I can't watch scary movies,
and
guys.
I don't want to spoil it for you guys because it was awesome.
And it is still pretty fresh, so I think it'd be fair not to spoil it.
Yes, it's still pretty fresh. So what I'm actually gonna talk about the original one with Tim Curry, and I'm gonna talk about the novel.
I have seen
They
that one.
are
Okay,
connected.
yeah, because we watched that together.
Yeah.
Well, you had it going, and I was watching some of it, and I think I was lucky because I watched Nostalgia Critic talk about how absolutely bad it was. And
The original?
Yeah, and that
The
actually helped me
original
because
has not aged well. That's the problem. It was probably, and it was on TV. Remember that? It was on cable.
I liked
what they were able
first
to do.
half of it perfectly fine. The second
when
half is when it
it's
got
the kids.
Yeah.
You liked it when it was the kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
The second
I did
half
too.
where it's like, so that's gonna be really interesting when because they've already announced the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be really interesting to see how they portray the second half because I think I'm not alone in this. Is where it started going downhill from there. So they nailed the first half.
It was
for a
awesome.
horror movie. I have not seen something get this much attention and just general awareness on the internet.
This movie is a defining moment of cinema for us, for our time. It was so good.
So not just for the horror genre.
Not just for the horror genre. This is a movie. I think this movie deserves the praise it's getting. I think people need to go out and see the new It.
If I do watch it, it's probably going to be when it comes out on DVD and during the daytime. And I'll be okay until night.
What I think is kind of cool though is the sequel, now that the movie's been out for a while, they've revealed that what they'd really like to call is It Chapter 1, because they're going to cover the entire book. And the cable series was a two-parter, and so it was part 1 with the kids, part 2 with the adults. Because what the thing is at least in the novel, it comes around every 27 years, give or take, for about 12 to 6 months at a time.
Little tidbit: did you know that the new movie came out 27 years after?
Yes, I did. And also, the actor who played It is 27 years old this year. Whoa, it was so weird. Yeah. But so the sequel or the part 2 for the new It has to come out in the year that they've said it will, because the years they set in this movie, because the It movie is going to be set in modern day. That's something that they've changed from the novel. In the novel, I think it took place in the 50s.
So the one that came out
as the kids, and then.
So the one that came out this year, that is set in 1990.
It's set in the 80s, I think.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when they move,
89.
they jump. When they jump 27 years.
Jump 27 years.
It's gonna be maybe a couple years from now, maybe.
I think.
Okay.
Because the sequel's set for 2019, like June 2nd or something like. Or no, I don't know.
And that's
2019.
Is that going to focus on them as adults then?
Yes, it will still probably have flashbacks to the kids because the book goes back and forth a little bit. I think I know at least the cable series did. So hold on, 2019 minus 27, so 1992. I don't remember when the new movie took place. But yeah, I mean, give or take, it comes around every 27 years.
Now it's pretty similar to the original one in certain aspects, right? Like it's. From the trailer, it looked like it was basically a scene for scene for a lot of the parts.
So the new movie is actually is more accurate to the source material than the cable series was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something else that's interesting about the new It movie is that it broke a 44-year-old record.
What do you mean 44-year-old?
So. This new It movie broke the 44-year-old record set by The Exorcist to become the highest grossing horror film of all time.
That's awesome.
It is the highest grossing horror film of all time.
How much did it make?
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Okay, so but a lot of money.
But like a lot of money. The reason I didn't choose to include those is because they're still changing. The movie's still out. But. Right. This was a 44-year-old record. Like, that's crazy.
It's kind of crazy that it's been that long. I was trying to think of... I thought it might have been something like Paranormal Activity, like the first one. Might have been the one that was really up there. I'm trying to think of other ones. Maybe Saw. One of those movies could have been really up there.
So what do you think made this new movie so popular? Is it because it was a remake of the original TV show?
Well, first, it has some really, really popular source material. Like... This book it's amazing. Everybody knows about it.
Okay.
Yeah, the original. So the novel came out in 1986.
Well, see, here's the thing that's really doing it justice is that it was already established with the older generation. Now with the new movie, it's been firmly established in the younger generation. Yeah. So when you're able to do that, like Star Wars did the same thing. They established it with the old generation, and then they also reestablished it effectively with the newer generation. And they're doing that for a third time, really, at this point.
Yeah, because let's face it, the second generation of Star Wars people, if they like the prequels more than the originals, they have a problem.
That's how you make an effective franchise, when you're able to repeat success after so many years. And I'm trying to think of the last time we had a horror movie show up this prevalent in like pop culture references or just pop culture in general, and I'm thinking like Saw, probably the last one that I could think of that came up like as far as came up in talks after the movie came out, and to this day I think Saw had the biggest impact in that way, and like it is like by far like
it was just so beyond being a horror movie, it was just a really good movie, period. Like, so the kids in the movie could have just been about them. Like, they were so well acted and charismatic and funny that, like, you weren't just waiting until the next time you got to see the clown. Like, the kids were awesome. Like, they were so good, and you were excited about what was going on when they were on screen.
And that's really impressive because a lot of the times kid actors, people don't really care for them that much. So if they're actually able to carry a story like this, that's really impressive. Like the kid from Stranger Things is in it, right?
And that's the first thing that I was going to bring up is that like the only time we've seen performance as good as this is Stranger Things.
The kids are really good in that, and they borrow...
Also, not necessarily horror, but also like a very thriller-esque type of thing. So it's kind of funny.
Kind of like an X-Files.
I don't know how those kids are able to handle scary stuff like that. I'd be terrified, even to the acting.
Interesting fact about this movie is that, so it is played by Bill Skarsgård. He, until they wrapped filming, the kids never got to see him out of costume. They only saw him on set. So when some of their reactions to seeing him are genuine. Like, they're freaked out.
Well, actually, I heard an interview with him, and he was talking about when he had to go in front of a kid and start doing all this crazy stuff and freak him out. And, like, he was thinking about if someone was doing that to him as a kid, he would have been terrified. Mm-hmm. So he's just really worried about how he's scarring this kid for life and everything. And then they shout out cut. And then he looks at the kid and he's like, oh dear, I must have messed him up really bad. And then the kid's just like, great job, I love what you're doing with the character. I'm just like, are you serious?
So like he becomes the bigger man and just like, oh, that was so great. Cool. You gave me a good spook.
Yeah.
So
desensitized by motion
so there were some very unique things. I don't want to spoil it because Bill Skarsgård is capable of doing some things that really lended to making the character scary.
Is he
I don't
cross-eyed?
I don't want to spoil them. I'm not going to talk about them because
that's not spoilers. Is he cross-eyed
no.
in real life?
Okay, no. He's able to move each of his eyes independently.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it is free. Like there's a couple of times in the movie where he's like talking or like you just see him and his eyes are out of focus. Like he's not really looking at anything and they're like in different spots. Like one's looking this way, like to the left, and one's like looking down. It's so weird, and it just makes you feel uncomfortable. And like for a horror movie, It was good. Like it was so good. Like it's hard to explain. I want you guys to see.
If all they had for content in the movie was a clown moving his eyes like that and smiling, I would still be terrified.
So like there's the voice, and then there's the way he looks, and then just like what he's doing with his face is making you uncomfortable.
What bothers me is that a lot of people don't take into consideration how messed up like movies like this can be, or like how much it can. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people can go see these movies and I feel like they're desensitized. Like even little kids, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go see an R-rated movie, and they're like 7 years old or something.
Yeah.
There was one reviewer on YouTube. He talked about how he went to see the It movie, and then he starts to hear a baby crying. He's like, is that in the movie? No. Somebody actually brought their baby to see It.
Oh my word.
And I'm like, are you serious? That's like the worst idea.
Don't bring your babies
Don't
to
do
see
that,
it.
guys. If you love your children, don't bring them to see It.
Don't let them see it.
Oh my gosh!
I'm sorry.
You're gonna be like, what's the first movie you saw in theaters when you were kids? Like, oh, it was It.
I'm fine.
So I mean, yeah. So the kids were like, they were literally afraid of like some of the reactions were genuine. They were actually scared of him.
That's really cool.
And
sounds like they did a lot of things right production wise for this movie.
Oh yeah. So like the movie all around was great. Like they did a good job with like the setting.
Where was it set again?
So it's set in Maine.
Right?
It's in Maine.
Okay.
And it's so good, guys. It's so good. The movie is so good. And like it's not all just jump scares, which is good too. Like it's not just like
jump
all the scares are
cheap.
So it's. Yeah,
they're
I mean,
overused.
I like a good jump scare, and there are some,
once in a while,
but they're appropriate. And like most of the scares from this movie just come because it is just like a freak. Like you're. So this movie is the first horror movie in a while to genuinely make me feel like scared, not just like the horror movie like jump scare, like oh that startled me. No, like generally like I'm sitting there and just like I really don't want to watch what happens next. It's not going to be a jump scare, but like the atmosphere is just progressing to an uncomfortable place, and like I'm scared. Like it was.
Were you okay
it was
driving home at night?
Yes, but I'll be honest. I was the only one home when I got home from seeing it, and I kept all the lights on.
Yeah.
And I made sure I was in my bed when I turned the light off in my room. I can't sleep without the lights off, so I had to endure that.
Oh gosh.
But yeah. And
it was
like
just enough
images,
where it got you off put. Where when
Yes.
you go home and it was quiet, and then you're just like, too quiet.
Yeah, and images from the movie were burnt into my head. So when I got home, I would remember something scary from the movie, or I would like trick myself into seeing him out of the corner of my eye in my room, and just like.
Well,
it's
the thing
so
is,
good.
like last year, you and I, we had a friend over, and you guys decided you wanted to watch Chucky. And I'm not a horror person. If anyone knows me, I get terrified very easily. So we watched Chucky, and I'm like, all right, I'm fine. And then we watched the newest one. It was like Curse of Chucky or whatever. And I was still okay. I was like, all right, it's kind of scary, but it's a horror film. I'm fine. And then you guys left. And I was absolutely terrified. I was like, okay, I know that it's not real. It's just a doll, and he's fake, and all this stuff. But I just kept hearing the voice in my head and just thinking of a little like dark silhouette with a knife just running towards me and laughing. I'm just like, I can't handle that. not handle scary stuff like that. And that makes me really sad because I want to see it. I really do. But I don't think I can handle it.
I will go and see it again in theaters.
Well,
I can't see it in theaters.
I was gonna say,
I think you should.
Not in
dark.
theaters. I will see it at home.
Okay. I'll just tell you, horror movies are actually, like, if you're going to go see a movie in theaters, I would recommend a horror movie because the surround sound and the big screen and how dark it is, they all make the movie better.
Were you listening to me?
Even bad horror movies
scary.
Even bad horror movies are good in theaters.
No,
I think.
Well, we watched Silent Hill a couple weeks back. And
I fell asleep during that.
Yeah.
I was not.
Well, I was very happy
good.
because I was able to handle it because everyone
Because
else...
it wasn't scary.
No, not just... Okay, if I watched it by
wasn't
myself,
scary.
I would have been scared. But because everyone else is around and I was able to crack jokes, it was like, this is stupid. I'm fine.
Okay, real quick, because I'm not like completely fresh on Silent Hill stuff. I do have like a legitimate question for you. Like, so the whole deal with the guy with like the pyramid head. Like, was he only supposed to be a cameo in that? Like, I thought he was like a bigger piece.
He is the main antagonist of Silent Hill 2. My Silent Hill knowledge is actually very limited.
Oh. I was like,
I just know that
I was like, that's a character I recognize. He must be important.
He's the most iconic character from the series,
And then
but
was
he's
only in a
he's
cameo.
really only in one of the games.
That's
and
weird.
he's only in a few scenes of the movie.
That's weird.
So
because he didn't end up being relevant to the plot at all.
not really, just another scare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which wasn't like it was just like ooh, like really like ominous character, and it wasn't really a scare. It was just like tension building, and that was all they used him for.
It looked pretty cool. But going back to it, what was your favorite aspects of this movie, and what do you hope they will bring from that movie to the next one?
So the kids.
They're going to be adults in the next one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I know, but like
They're
that
not going to wait
that
27
was,
years for them to
that
grow
was
up.
hands down the best part of this movie. So I want to see them, like, they've got to cast comparable actors. They've got to cast good I'm not saying they don't have to be big names, but I want to see characters that you can believe were those kids. You know what I mean?
So if the actors are as good as the kid actors, then they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Are they going to have the same person who played it in the next one?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Cool.
And just the unique things they did with the scares and with it as a character. They just need to continue that. Like, they just need to keep doing that.
Okay. And another question. So, what did you think of, was it Tim Curry? He played the original one. What do you like about him more than this or vice versa? Nothing? Is this one so...
This is better in every single way.
Okay.
Every single way.
So he's
let me be clear, though, is that I watched the original Cable two-parter out of novelty, and just because I wanted to have watched it before I watched the new one. It was not scary. It was cheesy. At times I laughed. I didn't think really anything about Tim Curry's character was... I didn't think any of it was scary. I didn't think any of it was creepy. I didn't think any of it was really weird. That's probably just because it hasn't aged well.
Because if you watched it as a kid, you might have been a little bit scared.
Yeah, and after I watched it as a kid, and I did watch it during the day. I don't know.
I thought his performance was good.
It was better than everyone else.
It was good. It just wasn't. It didn't scare me.
Nothing remarkable.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if it was remarkable, we'd hear more about it.
Think about all the
Tim
other,
Curry.
like,
No, but you do though. I just don't think it got to me because of the how long.
Well, also
and how
you've
old
watched
it
a
is.
lot of scary movies, so you know what scares you. You know what aspects of a character.
And it was really limited by the fact that it was on cable in the 90s.
You mean like visual effects wise, or just
what they're able to do and how far they're able to go in trying to scare you?
Yeah. Also, the editing was really choppy.
Yeah.
I think we were watching it. I was watching it with you, and it's the moment where the girl's outside and the washing is like right in front of her, and then you see the clown, and then he's just like, "Hey." And
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
it's like,
I'm like, I'm supposed to be scared of that, and then it goes into slow motion of him like, I'm a monster, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
scary.
So little interesting fact to clarify about it is not he's not a monster. He's not even an alien. He's not a demon. It is a extra dimensional entity. Like, he exists in our universe exists inside this bigger universe, and it is an entity from that like bigger universe.
I think you can classify that as a monster.
Well, yeah, but he's more kind of like a god, kind of like on that
not
scale.
Not a deity, but like
not a deity, but like that scale.
An
of
OP
like,
character.
Yeah. So like that other Stephen King movie coming out, The Dark Tower.
It already came out.
Yeah. Well, that's related.
Huh?
Very, very minimally.
Are you telling me Matthew McConaughey is related to this clown?
Very loosely.
Okay.
Actually, a lot of Stephen King novels are related very loosely.
Right.
But I don't know a whole lot about The Dark Tower. I just know
it's
that...
It's kind of like how all of Disney is related loosely.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, like, making big ties that... Yes, it is.
No.
All of Disney is...
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Disney keeps confirming ties to, like, within its own movies. Like, this person's related to this person and so forth.
Okay,
but they're not, like, making them... They're not making them canon within the movies. They're making them canon outside of the movies.
Yeah.
So it's not, like, a big plot point, but it's something that they like to tease at. Like, look, we... quote unquote thought about things as we were like they just like nodding to their own series. Who wouldn't? So I'm sure someone like Stephen King, who makes all these novels, would love to nod it.
They didn't make it a big deal though. In fact, you wouldn't know what I'm telling you now by watching the new movie. I researched it because I wanted to know more about it. But so it is actually an extra dimensional being known as the Deadlights. And it's eternal, like it's an eternal being. It lives forever. It's always been around.
You can't actually kill him?
No. They can just, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. They may be able to like banish him from our realm.
What, like once every 27 years?
You've ruined your chance in this dimension.
Yeah, basically, like, and like, so it just appears as their fears. So like it is not strictly a clown. It usually appears as a clown first because that's a pretty common fear among kids, and it's inviting. So like it regularly appears.
Clown is inviting? I think
so
clowns
remember,
are
this was
terrifying.
originally set in the 50s when I'm sure kids actually liked clowns before they became scary. So like it regularly appears as a clown, but it does not always appear as a clown. It will pick on whatever your individual fear is, and it'll appear as that because the character describes fear as like salting the meat. So like it eats these kids, and they taste better if they're afraid.
Well, that's messed up and
Apparently,
disturbing.
yeah.
But it's also very interesting. I don't personally know what my deepest fear is, so it'd be very interesting if I saw whatever it was and think, okay. What is the scariest thing? What's my scariest?
What if it? I don't want to get into it.
Okay, we're gonna get very deep and emotional now, guys.
We're not.
We're gonna get into the thick of it.
The thick of it. But like I was
I'm
telling
sorry,
William,
listeners. I'm so sorry.
Like I was telling William, I'm actually going to, I'm going to publish an article on our website, going into further detail about some of my favorite things about the movie.
And I hope I'll be able to see it eventually one day when I'm not scared out of my pants.
I'll own it. So
cool.
You'll definitely get the chance to watch it. You can sit on the couch next to me.
Any more
moral support?
Thank you.
It is the month of Halloween. Any more scary movies on our horizon that we should be aware of?
Well, side note, a lot of Stephen King movies or TV shows are coming out recently. Like there was The Dark Tower, there was It. I think there's the Netflix TV show is coming out. All I know is that I'm seeing it a lot more now. So. Mm-hmm. But other than that...
I don't know of any new scary movies that are coming out. I just don't know about them. I'm not saying there aren't any.
Not scary movies, but Stranger Things Season 2 is coming out in a couple weeks.
That's on my October fall bucket list.
Yes.
So,
and while Netflix has been making me sad with a lot of stuff they're taking away, Stranger Things was definitely a very good thing last year. I'm glad they're bringing it back.
I can give some recommendations, though. It's the spoopy time of year. We're getting the spoopy.
What does that mean?
It's scary. Don't make it.
Just say spooky.
Spoopy. It's the spoopy time of year. We're getting close to Halloween.
He did me the real scare.
Go and
watch The Conjuring. Go and watch The Conjuring 2. Go and watch Sinister. Those are some of my favorites.
I'll watch Twilight and I'll be terrified.
Not necessarily horror, but definitely like thriller, like in your like head kind of thing. Is I just forgot.
Split was it wasn't like a horror movie,
Split
but
it was a suspense thriller.
What's the
I thought it
one
was
with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Shutter Island.
Shutter
Yep,
Island.
watch Shutter Island. One of my favorite movies of all time.
What is that?
I own it downstairs. We can pop it out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's not a scary movie.
It's a thriller mystery.
Yeah, it's a thriller mystery.
And it's one of my favorite movies ever.
I still have to watch Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
You watch that?
Yeah, watch that. That's
and
a good time of year to watch that
recent
too.
favorite was the Light Switch one.
Lights Out.
Lights
I
Out.
didn't like that so much. It
I
was
liked it.
better towards the beginning. It didn't progress well.
That's almost all
Let's
horror
not watch
movies,
It
though.
Follows, okay? Let's not do that.
No.
Is that the It prequel?
No. That's the sexually transmitted fear disease thing. It's weird. Yeah.
Interesting.
Don't watch that.
Who comes up with this stuff?
Somebody
weird
comes
people.
up with it.
The same person who made Sharknado or something.
Probably.
Anywho.
Anywho.
Yeah, so scary movies, October, spooky time of
Spoop
year.
it up, friends.
Tell us about your favorite horror movies in our forums at geekkind.tv.
Get some of those forums popping, guys. We like interacting with you.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun.
We'd love to hear what your favorite movies are, whether it's horror or not, but 'tis the season. Soupy scary.
And if you are scared, you can be scared with me. It's okay.
Yeah, be scared
Everyone
with
else
Alex.
can enjoy being scared. I'll just feel lonely.
In fact, you can make that the topic of a forum post, support group for Alex's fears.
I need help.
And with that, this has been Inconceivable.
I hope you enjoyed us guarding you through the galaxy this fine evening.
This spooky galaxy.
It's technically Marvel related, so...
It was. We did a good job.
Marvel.
Inconceivable. 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 Inconceivable.